Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hunter and today I'm going to be casting a 1 versus 1 on Delta Quadrant. I'm really excited for this game for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I've never cast a game on Delta Quadrant before. It is one of the new maps with the retail version. I mean, not so new anymore, but wasn't included in the beta, so this is going to be my first map, first cast on this map, and also my first TvT. So looking forward to this game in many respects, and let's get right into it. We got STC here, the green Terran player at the 11 o'clock position. This is, yeah, I mean, STC, very well known, a lot of coverage done of him. I've casted his games, many commentators have. Very strong Korean player representing a very strong Korean clan. OGS, certainly to be considered, you know, one of the top clans. His opponent is going to be MioWerra, representing the Werra clan, so certainly, you know, respect and honor on the line today, at the very least. MioWerra actually sending out a very early probe, and by probe I mean SCV. He is picking up the Zelnaga, and that's actually all he did. Like, that's pretty interesting play, and, you know, kind of unorthodox, making sure nothing cheesy going on, just wants to keep an eye, you know, on the center of the map. Very pivotal Zelnaga on Delta Quadrant, there is just the one. So, as a result, MioWerra's resource count is going to be slightly behind, so we will notice that STC is going to get every single building during this opener just a few seconds before MioWerra, but I'm not sure how significantly that's going to play into the long run. But, you know, as I say that, during these pro matches, it is a battle of seconds. It really is. Really intense games. So let's get right into this one. Before getting really too deep into the commentary, I just want to talk for about 30 seconds about this map. We got the backdoor expansion here, the destructible debris, of course, got to be destroyed if you want to take this expo. Very vulnerable expos. You do have the high ground, the ridge here, so very susceptible to drops, you know, whether it's high Templars, whether it's siege tanks. Very, very susceptible to those types of drops, along with, you know, different micro, abusing the cliffs, abusing the gap here. I guess that would be more for blinking stalkers, but nonetheless, quite interesting terrain featured in this map. As we can see on the production tab, nothing unusual just yet. We do have an SCV from MioWerra doing the effective scouting that he needs to do. It is being forced out by the Marine, so maybe not so effective overall as that SCV did not scout the reactor, and nor did it actually scout the second refinery either. Do take note, STC has actually opted to scout cross-positionally first, which is quite unusual, and I would expect that STC made that decision because if he did scout a base cross-positional, then that would certainly affect the build STC is going with, because that is a much greater rush distance by foot. So he knows that, you know, MioWerra is going to be a little closer by. He is getting the reactor. The reactor has just arrived. He's getting a factory up as well. Going to have that factory just a little bit later than MioWerra. Nonetheless, MioWerra does have 2 Marines in STC's base at this point. Those Marines able to take out the SCV that was constructing the factory. So losing an SCV, losing a little production time on the factory, and now forced to pull out. I mean, good foresight, seeing the reactor, knowing about the reinforcing Marines, and now pulling out. All at the same time. We do have an SCV trying to sneak by MioWerra's defenses, and he doesn't quite make it. He is toast, unfortunately, for that poor SCV. Nonetheless, STC is going to be moving in, going to start to engage these Marines who are running for home. That first Marine does get taken down. High ground advantage going to MioWerra. The middle Marine does get focused down, and MioWerra microwing his Marines a little bit better than STC, pulling back the weakened Marines, you know, keeping them alive as long as possible. Keeping an eye on each base. We do have a tech lab on the factory for STC, and a tech lab as well already arrived for MioWerra's factory. So both players are going to be getting siege tanks, and I would certainly expect siege tech as well. STC already has a siege tech, and now finally getting a little bit of scouting done. But take note, STC does not scout the all-important starport. So, you know, some good scouting, but, you know, could have been better. Now at this point, MioWerra is moving in. He is going to move in with 1 tank and 4 Marines, while STC's main group of Marines are stuck in the middle. The first tank for STC is taking very heavy fire. It is in the red, just below 40 hit points, and now MioWerra is going to split his forces a little bit. I think that was a little bit of a mistake. Obviously, those Marines just got slaughtered there, and now 1 Hellion, 1 tank, 1 Marine is moving into position. This Hellion is going to try to roast some of the workers. A lot of the SCVs coming off the line to deal with this. A lot of reinforcing Marines and another tank as well. These Marines kind of slacking on the job, not really doing anything at this point. They are waiting for their comrades, though. these Marines are going to head back, and this Hellion is going to just barely sneak by. A little bit of a missed micro there. He could have used the move command and avoided getting shot probably. Let's see what this Hellion is able to do. He's got 1 kill already, and going to take out 2 more SCVs there. I think if this Hellion was micro just a little bit better, it could have taken out 1 or 2 more SCVs, but, you know, can't really fault him too heavily for that. Now, this is when builds really start to diversify, as MioWerra, he has a starport a little sooner, and he's got the tech lab as well. So he is going to get cloaked Banshees, whereas STC, on the other hand, has opted to stick with the reactor. He's going to get some Vikings, going to allow sight for the siege tank. Ooh, those Marines just getting blown to pieces. A lot of fire going down on the siege tank on the high ground, only 37 hit points left, but now STC needs his Vikings to get into position to spot the high ground so that his siege tanks can certainly be effective. Trying to move in, is he going to siege up? That was not the greatest micro by STC, as that one siege tank did go down pretty, you know, fruitlessly. Didn't really do a lot of damage with that tank. Now he has spotted that Banshee. I would certainly expect that STC spotted that Banshee, and he did. In hot pursuit, or is he just going to idle here? It does look like he's going to idle. That tech for cloaking is on the way as well, almost complete. We're looking at about 90% completion there, and we do have a Banshee moving into STC's base. So this Banshee is going to have to be effective. Let's see how many kills it gets. It's going to have to certainly justify such a heavy expenditure. 2 kills already. Always good to micro and kill the workers that are on the gas. That's always a lot more worthwhile than killing the mineral line workers. Now with the third Viking coming into play, moving into position, getting a scan off, and that was about 7 volleys, I believe, to take out that Banshee. Having to use a scan, but, you know, doesn't really have a choice. STC had to do that. Excuse me. So, continuing with this Banshee harassment, we do have another Banshee moving into position. He does not have very much energy left. Does take out the SCV that was building the command center. And we do have another scan that goes down. And with these 3 Vikings, yet again, destroying and nullifying the Banshee threat. Banshees, again, very expensive units. 150 minerals and 100 gas. So very, very costly to invest in the Banshees and to invest in that cloak tech. And they have not really justified the expenditure just yet for MioWerra. He has not done nearly enough with them. Now, let's take a look at what we had talked about earlier. We do have the backdoor expansion going up for MioWerra. MioWerra is going to have to slowly destroy these destructible debris. They have 3 armor, which means that these Marines are actually only doing 3 damage, 6 minus 3, to these destructible debris. It's going to take forever to get these out of the way, while STC is opting to go with the natural expansion. So we're going to see whose decision is better at this point. We have an armory on the way for MioWerra. He's going to get some Thors. And another Banshee over here going to continue to try to micro and do more damage with these Banshees, because like I was saying before, they have not done enough damage to justify the cost. We do have a Raven in play as well. Where is Mr. Raven? He, I'm sure, will be arriving shortly to deal with this Banshee, as we do have 3 Vikings here, along with sort of the slow lagging behind Raven. So as a result, STC opts to just say forget the Raven, and he throws down a scanner and is able to take that out. We got another Banshee sort of harassing there. That Banshee did take out the SCV that was constructing the command center. And at this point, we do actually have, I believe we are going to have a drop, as Medevac is moving into position and is going to scoop up these 2 siege tanks. So nice transition, switching the starport onto the reactor and getting some tech labs on his racks, 2 racks for the Marauders. So interesting sort of transition at this point in the game, along with a Southeast Expo, a little bit unorthodox there, spawning that command center so far away. And at long last, we do have the Medevac moving into position, is going to drop these 2 siege tanks. Now I'm going to switch it to MioWerra's vision, as we do have these 2 tanks on the high ground, and just shelling away, taking a lot of those workers out, completely stopping any mining that was going on at this expansion. So nothing that MioWerra can really do about them. He doesn't even have any Banshees remaining to deal with it. So as a result, it looks like we do have a counterattack occurring. MioWerra is moving in to counterattack, and this is a pretty good timing for the counterattack. We do have quite a few units out of position, sort of scrambling to get back. these two Marauders sort of moving away as well. And is this orbital command? It is going to be able to float away, so good for that. Looking at the army tab, we see STC is behind, so this is good timing for MioWerra to be pushing in. He's got about 10 Marines, 3 siege tanks, and a Thor as well for backup. And STC is going to have to be very careful here, as he does not have a lot of units, at least not units that are in good position to deal with this. Looks like this Rax is going to get taken out. The Tech Lab along with that. Now focusing down the Tech Lab. Always good to go for those add-ons, as they do have sort of a lower hit point. And, I mean, STC still scrambling to get into position, picking off some stragglers with those 3 Marauders down there, but he really needs to come up with something to defend here. He is in a position now. He's actually pulling so many SCVs off the line. This is not looking good for STC at all. Landing the Vikings, Marauders as well, focusing down the Thor, and finally with some reinforcing Marauders from behind, is able to clean that up for the most part. Some units for MioWerra are opting to retreat, probably a good plan. This SCV really trying to be a hero, but just was not meant to be for him. So although STC was in a bad position to defend, he was able to scramble and to get back. These 2 Marauders down here really out to lunch. They are slacking pretty hard, not doing a whole lot there. Putting a scan down, going to see exactly what's going on for MioWerra, and now STC is counterattacking, and with this Raven, is it going to go down? That Raven was focused down. It's only got 2 HP left, but nonetheless, we do have STC moving in. He is not going to attack the natural expansion. A point defense drone has gone down for STC. Moving in, MioWerra has got to scramble this time. Now pressure's back on him. He's got to react, he's got to defend, and if he's not careful, it looks like this orbital command is going to go down. And look at this poor Banshee trying to do something with the cloak, but the point defense drone zapping all of its bullets. And there really is not a lot to defend at this point. Taking a look at the units tab, really no defenses available whatsoever for MioWerra. I'm not sure what he's going to be able to do in this circumstance. And going to just use a quick scan there, going to see the Banshee. And I'm sort of hoping and praying for MioWerra. I don't know what he's going to have left here. Another Cloak Banshee does come into play, but really significant damage STC is doing on the infrastructure, focusing down a lot of these buildings, leaving the burning buildings to burn, and just doing such hefty damage, really punishing him and paying him back for that push that MioWerra did put on him a moment ago. Really surprised to see this. MioWerra really did put the pressure on, but STC managed to defend, managed to react, and has come back, and I think that is all she wrote for MioWerra, as I believe that is sort of saying GG. It certainly is. MioWerra has left the game. So interesting in respect to the decision making in this game, seeing MioWerra expand here. That was a little bit of a mistake after the siege drops occurred. Kind of a random expo down here. Was able to get some good mining off, but before full saturation took place, STC was able to respawn and wipe out the red Terran player. So an interesting game. I certainly hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you haven't checked my channel yet, I've got a lot more, commentaries on my channel, youtube.com/HunterStarcraft. And I think that's all for today, folks. So this is Hunter Starcraft here saying, take it easy.